everyone, and welcome back to the h.e.r.LIFE BLOGCAST. We've got a full house in the Zoom room tonight. Hey,
woohoo! Hello!
In the Zoom room, I like that. Okay.
Zoom room. I feel like we should start saying that. I think that's so catchy. We got Emma, Hannah, Brennan. What a lineup, guys! I'm very excited that we haven't had like a big group since the Sarah Brown episode of like eons ago.
That's so long. Yeah, it feels like, wow, time flies.
So we are back at it. We're talking body once again. We're going to dive a little bit deeper into our quarantine body image discussion that Brennan and I started last week. Let's begin. We're just diving right in. Let's begin with just some of our own reflections about our own personal body images since the pandemic struck. I'll kick us off. I did this on my Instagram the other day, asking people to respond with like healthy habits that they started and unhealthy habits that they can't seem to kick since quarantine life kind of, you know, trapped us all. So there was a lot of split reactions among people, like lots of healthy things happening, but also some not so healthy. For me, I think I've spent a lot of time creating habits of like being active. I get up and go for runs in the morning, which is crazy. I've been doing yoga, which is great. Drinking a lot more water, trying to be very conscious of that. Drinking a lot more tea, and I'm feeling like a good version of myself. But on the flip side of that, I feel like I cannot sleep. Like my sleeping schedule has been very weird. I'm like not sleeping through the night. I don't know why. And I just eat cheese for entire meals. That's terrible for your skin. So definitely seeing both ends, and it's weird to watch that they're like not canceling each other out. I don't know. It's weird. Who wants to start? Emma, I'm just going to throw it to you first.
Sure. Okay. Well, I was a very active person, I would say, like living in the city and like commuting, etc. So I was always like walking around and like standing up. But now I just sit in front of my computer 24/7. And to be honest, my butt hurts, and I feel like bloated all the time, etc. So I guess that would be a negative. And I would say like in the beginning of quarantine, I was really good and had a schedule of like working out, etc. But I think like as time went on, I kind of got a little lazy, I would say. But I think the most important thing though that I've kind of realized is that like everybody has their own opinion on like what it means to be healthy. And I think especially like living back at home and like being with your parents, they might be like cooking you food, etc. So it's really just a different schedule all around. And I think everybody's definition of being healthy is different. So you just have to be really mindful of that, and that like your definition of healthy might mean like drinking more water or like going out for a walk, whereas someone else's healthy might mean just having like a good mental state. So I just want to put that in perspective, and I think that's really helped me have more of like a positive outlook on how my body's been feeling, despite me feeling like bloated and just like all the time.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. That's good that you mentioned. I'm glad that you said that because I think it's a really great point. Hannah?
Yeah, I'll agree. I'm kind of opposite. I was very lazy starting out, and to be honest, I still kind of am lazy. I'll admit it. But I've noticed like I've definitely like gained weight, and I was like so bored. Like I would just look forward to my meals like as an activity, which I know is definitely not good. And so I would like be thinking about the next meal before I'm even done with the one I was eating, and I was just like, oh God, like what am I doing? Like because I just didn't find something to do. But like luckily, as the weather has gotten warmer, and I've been a lot more active, and so I've seen improvement, but also still feel kind of like blah, you know, like I still feel like certain areas where the improvement hasn't happened yet. And now it's like there's this whole big thing, like I've been bike riding a lot, and so I feel like my legs are getting bulky and like muscular. So like that's a kind of like a battle I'm facing of like, yeah, I'm like gaining muscle, but like is this how I want to look? So it's like a very constant thing that I've been trying to deal with. So I'm like getting stronger, but like I don't know, it's a weird thing. So definitely I've stopped eating a lot, which is good. I was eating way too much, but like compensating like the activity. So it's like improving some areas, which is some areas I'm still struggling. So that's frustrating, but we're getting there.
We're getting there. That's the name of the game. It's all about balance, and I feel like it takes time to find that balance for sure.
Exactly.
I was just gonna say.
Bren, how about you?
I agree. I was very lazy. I also had to quarantine for 14 days when quarantine like officially started. So I felt it. Like I wrote it a little further down, but I could feel it in my body. Like I would wake up and I'd be in so much pain, just like from like my hips down, because I was walking so much in Europe and I walked so much this semester before, and then it's just like a complete and utter stop. But because of that, I just didn't eat that much at all, which is not good. Like, please eat. It's so important. But I didn't, and I lost a significant amount of weight. And I mean, I feel better now. Like, I definitely know I was overeating, but I also was like traveling. So I felt like that kind of was the reason for it. But it's definitely kind of hard to go from where I was, where I like was a comfortable weight, and now like none of my clothes fit me. And like, I do like the way I look in a bathing suit a little bit more, but I also know that it's from unhealthy kind of decision making, which I'm trying to break. Like, I've been trying to be better about eating healthier and not overeating, because that's an issue that I've had in the past, but in a way that's still healthy. Like, I'm not underfeeding myself.
Yeah, totally. It's interesting to see just like how as time progressed, because now, like we were saying, we've been in quarantine for so long that I feel like we've had time to make habits, break habits, and do it 3 more times. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's cool to see how it's kind of shifting within each 4 of us, and how we're all kind of in different places. You know what I mean? Which is to be expected. Like, everybody is different, and that's Emma's point before. Hello. She's so cute. You're fine. She's so cute.
Love her.
Guest appearance? There's nothing wrong. She could be on next week. Huh?
Are you guys recording something?
Love
It's a
her.
major blogcast, like, not a big deal. No, I'm kidding. No, but very good points all around, girls. I want to transition now into a very cool article that we found. This is an article that we found on The Kit, which is a Canadian lifestyle kind of website. Very cool, very trendy. Lots of astrology stuff if you're into it, and lots of mental health and lifestyle content overlap, which I think is very cool, and I'm very into it. Canadian, cool. This article is by Madison Schill, who is a Canadian model turned writer who's best known for quitting the beauty and fashion industries because of its negative impacts on her body image and mental health, and body image and mental health at large. She wrote this article interviewing lots of her friends within the industry, so lots of fashion people, some PR people, some photographers, some other models, and she just asked them questions about how quarantining has been impacting their own body images and body positivity in general. So we kind of broke this up into positive examples and like negative impacts on mental health and body image. We'll start with the positive ones just to lift us all up a little bit, and I'll just kind of get your reactions, girls, as we go through each example. So I'm going to read a few quotes. This first one is from one of, I think this was a PR person in the fashion PR industry. And she said, quote, "It's been incredible to see how social distancing has changed how I look after and at my body. Before, I would often use and abuse my body, grueling morning workouts before heading into the office and guilting myself into another workout at night. I felt like I had to. I placed this pressure on myself to be on, look on, carry on. But now I've been able to move more intuitively, and I'm taking days off and embracing a more holistic, gentle approach to wellness. In fact, I recently got my period back after going without it for over a year and a half. If it weren't for this government mandate to slow down, I would have never made the time to slow down for myself and take care of my body." So this is definitely a very good example, and I think something a lot of people can relate to. With once you have the time to really reassess and start over, it can be a very positive thing. Any reactions from the group?
Yeah, I think it's good. Like, when I think about the time too, it's like you can either hate it and like be mad about it, or like do something with it. And like not saying like the pressure to do something because it's your time, but like I regret not doing more exercise and like taking the time to just like step back and be like, I have this time to like better myself for me.
Yeah.
So I'm definitely just like taking the chances that I have now in the next months till I go to work to just do me and better me.
I love that.
I definitely agree with that. I know my mom started to get really into walking and just walking around her neighborhood for miles. Like, she gets in like 8 miles before I usually wake up.
Wow.
But you could see changes, like both physical and mental health wise,
Mhm.
which I think is really important, because you don't need to be like out sprinting, But just getting up and moving, which is kind of hypocritical of me to say because I'm literally not doing that, but I know that it's so much better for my health. And since being back in the city, I have been walking around and like doing a lot, and I can feel the changes in my body. Like I'm actually tired when I go to bed, not like just bored, you know?
Totally. Yeah, no, definitely. Good points. Good points. Okay, the next one reads as follows. At the beginning of my isolation, I felt freed of social pressures to eat healthy or to think too critically about my body. At first, I found this very comforting. I think it was important to comfort myself with rich foods. Eventually, I established a loose routine and have been active every day. She says, I'm happy with the progress I'm making in my own health and fitness and with no one to impress or thank but myself. I am motivated by my own progress rather than feeling guilty that I might be judged for not working hard enough. This is a state of mind that I have often lost sight of and one that I hope to maintain when I re-enter the world. So I think this is a really great example of like training yourself. Again, like what Hannah was saying, using your time wisely and training yourself to be a better version of yourself once things do go back to normal, which we talked a lot about when we talked about mental health a few months ago. Like using this time to kind of flex those muscles with meditation and other things like that. Anything else we want to add to this one? It's okay if we don't.
I'm good here.
Okay, I like it. That was a good one. Moving right along. Okay, this next one says, I'm learning to welcome my vulnerabilities instead of stuffing them in a closet, so to speak. I find I mask my boredom for hunger, excitement for hunger, sadness for hunger, loneliness for hunger. It's gotten to the point where I stop and ask myself, what am I hungry for? The answer can't always be food. When I ask myself these questions, I begin to understand the root of the situation, which allows me to be kinder and softer overall. So this was, I think, just a really, I don't know, I thought this one was very beautiful. What do we think?
But yeah, I think it goes back to the point, it's just like loving yourself first. That's like where the root of all of this should come from, and that like you have to do it because it fits the needs for you, and it's making you happy, and it really doesn't matter what other people think or like what your mindset of like having a routine of just going like go go go. Right. So it's just all about you and loving yourself, and that was a very sweet blurb. I do agree.
Totally. And also I think after reading all of these, it's kind of like I feel very heartwarmed by it. So I feel like that speaks to the fact that we're all rooting for each other, right? Like you see someone else using this time productively and becoming a better version of themselves, and we're all like, yes, girl, like keep doing that. And I think that's really beautiful. So my encouragement, I guess, to you guys in other circles of friends and family is to like have conversations, check in, ask how people are doing, and actually listen to like be able to open dialogues like this, and also consider it for yourself, right?
Especially because we're all going through it. It's not just one person's personal battle. It's kind of comforting to know that you're not alone in everything that's going on.
Definitely. On the flip side of that, then we have, like I put negative examples. Again, it's like there's more than just the binary to this, obviously, but some things that could be harmful maybe to your mental health, some reflections from Madison's friends. Let's get into those now. The first one is this. I gained around 8 pounds in 2 months. As a result, my body changed and so did my emotions. Feeling heavier and not at all at a comfortable weight for my skin made me feel very uncomfortable, irritable, and like I wanted to live in extra big sweats. So I did. In a way, I tried to protect my body from anyone who might see it in any other way than with love. So that one was like, oh, but you feel it. And I feel like a lot of people could probably relate to that. I know there's been times where I have, it's like, if I'm not totally feeling it, it's like you just cover it up. No one's seeing me anyway. And I just kind of relish in that feeling of like, oh, this is just how it is. And then also I think it's interesting, this one, because it's like clothing as a coping mechanism, which I don't think we talk about a lot, but can definitely be a thing. What do we think?
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of like Billie Eilish, because she like always wears like the baggy clothing because she has like the same mindset. Like she doesn't want people to judge her body than other than like she sees fit. And I know I definitely do. Like sometimes I'm just like, especially in the winter, it's so easy. I'm just like, okay, like sweats, like I don't care. Like the bigger they are, like no one has to know. Like it's just a comfort thing.
Yeah. Totally. So interesting to see. But now it's like also the thing that's happened since quarantine is like we transitioned to summer, so it's like not as easy. Do you know what I mean? So it's like you're kind of fighting multiple things at the same time. It's kind of forcing you out of that mindset. I don't know. It's interesting to consider.
think it also helps to, like, working wise, or at least school wise, when classes were, I'm sorry, there are fireworks going on outside. During times when, like, you have to be on Zoom calls and look kind of professional, or at least for your own sake, like, I'm the kind of person that needs to get dressed up to get something done, like whether that's makeup or like a nice shirt. And I could feel it as my internship like ended. I was like, I'm not putting any effort in. Like, if I didn't have meetings that day, I would just wear sweatpants and a sweatshirt and call it a day.
Totally. Yeah, it all like feeds into everything. I think like how you feel physically, mentally, it all intercepts. That's totally true. This one is another good one that I think we're going to have a lot of reflections about. She says, I've noticed since quarantine started, I am much more aware of my body. It's been hard, and I'd be lying if I said my eating hasn't taken a hit because of it. I'm frustrated that after so many years of quietly coexisting with her body, I'm suddenly so present with it. That's why I refuse to get any full-length mirrors. I'd lose days. Which is like, oh, like it hurts your heart to hear, but I also get it. And I think quarantine, Brennan, you mentioned Zoom calls. We are more aware of our own beings. Like right now, we're all on this call, like looking at ourselves, responding to these prompts. You know what I'm saying? Like we literally are, and I'm like, oh, my eyebrow raised in a weird way when I just did that. Like I'm so hypercritical because you're staring at your own reflection all of the time, and that's like we could never. That was never this true. You know what I mean? As it is right now.
I think another thing that plays into it as well is we were so used to kind of being inside and not having to worry about how other people might see us as well. And then that's a whole nother situation, because once you go out and like things start to reopen, even though you're wearing hopefully a mask, you're still aware of how people might perceive you. And then that can play into how you perceive yourself. And it's just kind of like this negative cycle.
Totally.
It's also like, oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, go.
This is like just like more with the face, like the mask is like the clothes are like kind of like can be like a coping mechanism, and so like the mask too, because it's like this is like kind of like a different, I guess, body image, but it's like, oh, like I don't have to like worry about it, like I'm wearing a mask, so I go out, and then it's like once that is like not a thing anymore and like COVID is eventually gone, like it's gonna be weird too then like coming out and like not having that form of like safety blanket almost, I guess, if you will. So it's like very, times are strange.
No, it's definitely weird. It's going to be very weird transitioning out. I agree. I didn't even think about that.
Earlier during orientation, we had to go and get food. So we went to the cafe and they had like everything prepackaged because like, we had to wear a mask. But then once we got back out and like could distance ourselves, we all had to take our masks off, obviously. And one of the girls in my group was like, oh, so that's what you guys look like. Like it's almost these like different versions of people too, and you don't even realize what they might look like.
So true. Wow.
That's true. It's crazy to think about. Any other general reflections about that article? We'll definitely link that because I think we all were talking about this before. It's an interesting read. The way it's laid out is cool. I don't know if it's a Canadian thing. I don't know if he's just a great writer. I don't know if it's both. Like, I'm very into this article.
Yeah, it reads very well. I like it a lot.
Totally.
Everybody should read it. It's good.
We're going to like circle back, I think, at the end to have one more like very good quote from Madison Shell, who did the whole article. So we'll kind of round it out with that. But for now, I think we're ready to transition to the second part. Yes, girls?
Yeah.
Okay. So Brennan and I talked last week briefly about the Kardashians, and we essentially came to the conclusion that you can really argue both sides for the Kardashians. On the one hand, I think they really are champions of a more inclusive body image in pop culture at large. Now, curves are to be embraced, and all shapes and sizes are beautiful as they should be. However, it's still, they definitely still represent an unrealistic standard for a lot of people, for most people, I would say. Whether or not you have curves, it took a lot of plastic surgery and other money and a lot of things to get them to look the way that they do. And we definitely have to consider that. People have been outspoken about how this is very detrimental, especially to young girls, and we'll get into that next. But first, give me your reactions to the Kardashians. How do you feel? Do you think you take a side? What have you thought about in the past? Have you thought about it in the past? Emma, do you want to kick us off?
I think I root more for the mental aspect of it, of just kind of embracing your body, your curves, etc. I still question though, like the physical aspect of it, and again, to your point, Rachel, like how attainable it is and how that could greatly impact someone who's striving for that, but literally cannot achieve that, which is, it's sad to think about. However, so that's just probably my negative, or I question that.
Yeah.
But I'm all for the mental aspect of it.
Totally. Hannah?
Yeah, so I agree because, you know, before them, I think like before they got like all the work done, like they're naturally like curvier women. And so I think that's when like they started out being like, oh yeah, like look at us and like help the movement. But like, yeah, like you said, like I will never look like that. Like, I don't know. So I think that can be like kind of bad. But I did watch, the one thing that I did like was like Chloe's weight loss journey that she had. And then she had the show, I don't think it's on anymore, Revenge Body, like Khloe Kardashian. That was like a tongue twister. I couldn't say that. And like, I like that show because a lot of the times it'd be like, oh, who are you getting revenge on? And be like, oh, like my ex-husband or like my brother for making me whatever, and my sister. But like at the end of the day, like they're doing it for themselves, and like it was really empowering for them. So I like that aspect, and like do it on your own terms and like for yourself at the end of the day. So there's some good and bad aspects, I guess, to them, like you were saying.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, I agree with that. I feel like for women being more curvy, it's more uplifting, like you were saying, how they were already naturally like that. But I also feel like it can be detrimental to certain people's mental health if they don't realize like there's a lot of plastic surgery that has gone into this. And while it's their decision that they did it, and they're they're so allowed to do that. Like not we as us, but like as a society, it shouldn't be judged that they decided to change their body if that's their decision. But people also have to remember when they compare how they look naturally to like Kylie Jenner's giant lips, you know what I mean? Like she did it for herself, and you're more than welcome to do that for yourself if you want to. But it's not something that they should be shamed for, I feel like, because so many people get plastic surgery. I feel like you're not a celebrity until you at least get Botox, you know?
Yeah.
And then like the teas and stuff, awful. And I'm glad Instagram finally barred that.
Yeah.
But also, come on, they're not really using them.
Never.
They're laxative teas. Like,
that's one of the craziest things to me, that the Kardashians promoting an ad like that actually works. Because do we really think that girls out there, and guys too, I'm sure, are fans of the Kardashians looking at that and truly in their souls believing that Kim Kardashian is using this diet tea to look the way that she does? Like, there's no way. Are we really, like, are people, like, I don't mean to be, are people that dumb, but are people that dumb?
I think so. I mean, when I worked in influencer marketing last fall. Ooh, time flies. We'd have to do that where we would promote the different products to these influencers. And half the time they're like, I don't even know what this is, but like, okay, if I fit the mold, I fit the mold. And if you have the money to spend like 6 figures on the Kardashians, like, I hope you're getting that ROI.
Yeah. Man, no, that's crazy. I think about that a lot. My thing with the Kardashians, if I had to like, here's my thing. The fact that they're, whether it's a curvy girl, whether it's a stick thin girl, the fact that there is a quote unquote perfect body type that we are to aspire to, like, that's the problem. It doesn't matter what the body type looks like. It's the fact that society deems what's okay in this moment. That's what we need to get away from. It doesn't matter what that figure looks like. It's great that we're getting more representation and inclusivity in pop culture. That's great, and I think it's a good step. But saying that Kim Kardashian is the gold standard now isn't the answer. She is one of them. We are all one of them. I think that's what we need to get towards. You know what I mean? So I feel like, are we on the right path? Yes. But we're not there yet. So we can't just be like, the Kardashians can do no wrong, because they most certainly can. Someone who definitely thinks the Kardashians have done a lot of wrong is Jameela Jamil, who we talked about last week as well. She's best known for her role in The Good Place. Has anybody seen The Good Place? I watched a little bit here and there. She's a very funny character. great actress. She's a fun girl. I feel like she'd be very real, like in real life, she'd be someone I'd want to meet. She's been very outspoken about her disdain for unrealistic beauty standards, and specifically how the Kardashians are responsible for it in a lot of ways. So she essentially will retort every harmful Kardashian ad that's posted with a very public takedown. She's become known for this. I think she's probably known for that more than she is for any of her acting stuff, truly. And I think that's a valiant cause. Like, I'm proud of her for it. You know what I mean? To make that your platform, to use your platform in that way, rather. I want to give some examples. So Kim once posted, and I'm sure she's posted it many times, an ad for appetite suppressant lollipops. And Jamil responded, calling Kim a, quote, terrible and toxic influence on young girls, adding that despite Kris Jenner's business skills, the family's behavior makes her feel, quote, actual despair. She followed up with another tweet urging Kim to, quote, eat enough to fuel your brain and work hard and be successful. So she's very public about how anti-Kardashian she is. And you might say too much so. Like, is she going too hard on the Kardashians? Maybe, but if you ask her, absolutely not. She's not going hard enough. So what do we think? I have some more quotes from her, but initial reactions. Have you heard of Jameela Jamil? What are your reactions to her? Do you think it's too polarizing? Do you think it's not polarizing enough? Emma, I'm gonna hit it to you again. I'm sorry I keep putting you right.
No, that's okay. No, I think a lot of times celebrities don't understand how big their voice is and how girls, young boys, men, women just like listen to them almost like they're like godlike. So I think I say kudos to her for calling her out. I think that's what needs to be said. I mean, honestly, this is the first time I've kind of been hearing her name, so I kind of wish that I knew more about it. But yeah, I think celebrities just sometimes don't understand how big a voice they have.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's a good point. And I think it works on both ends of that too. Like, I think a figure like Jameela Jamil, as she's gaining traction, is helping a lot of people. And the goal is to make that even out with the people like Kim Kardashian are hurting. You know what I mean? It's hard to say. I don't know. It's hard to make like a hard and fast rule. Also, you have to look at it from a business perspective. Like, the Kardashians are money makers. They always will be. Like, they are business women. And is it equally who am I to tell another woman how she should make her money? Also, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know, but when you're harming others, she's not directly harming. That's where all of the complication comes in. So it's hard because as female entrepreneurs, I think we have to celebrate that as well. But it's like, at what cost? I don't know. Oh, it's hard. I have more from Jameela Jamil. One time she went, and this kind of speaks to what I was saying about female empowerment, blah, blah, blah. Not blah, blah, blah. Female empowerment is good. She went so far once as to say that the Kardashians are acting as double agents for the persisting patriarchy. She tweeted or said in an interview, I forget which it was, but she said, quote, the double agent for the patriarchy is basically just a woman who perhaps unknowingly is still putting the patriarchal narrative out into the world, is still benefiting off and profiting off a patriarchal narrative and selling that to other women. When you put it like that, it's kind of true, right? That like women need to look a certain way. That's a patriarchal narrative, and the Kardashians are actively making money off of that.
Mm-hmm. Powerful. Very powerful statement.
Right? Just something to consider. So I think as we're scrolling on Instagram, it's cool for this all to be in the back of your mind. I don't know. I'm very intrigued by it. I will forever be a fan of the Kardashians. So like, I don't think it's going to stop me, but I think, like I was saying before, I think the power that you have when you're at that mega level of celebrity is not to be taken lightly. We're seeing that more and more. So maybe there's a change coming. I don't know. Like we said, we seem to be on a positive trajectory, but
I feel like their mega celebrity status is also the reason for her aggressive comebacks too, because if she was a little kind, and not even kinder, but like a little more passive about it, it wouldn't get the same recognition that this does. And being someone to promote an appetite suppressant is just, trigger warning, inducing eating disorders. And granted, I don't know if Kim Kardashian's ever had one. I hope not. But like, you would think maybe not. Like, clearly people think you actually take these things. So maybe we take a step back and we focus on like other things, like your beauty line, and not, you know?
Right. Like at this point they have enough. They're not dependent on these ads to make a living. So
Yeah.
maybe that's the point where we can step back and reassess a little bit. That's a good point. Interesting. Anyway, Kardashians, I'll keep buying KKW, you know. Well, that's another thing I wanted to mention briefly. Like, when she did her KKW body makeup, that's when Jameela Jamil kind of gained a lot of traction, I think. It was like, I don't even know when she started. It was probably last summer, I think, when it really first hit the market. I should have looked that up. But she came out with some very strong statements about the fact that we are encouraging women to cover up flaws is just promoting the narrative that flaws are to be covered and not embraced, which I understand. But at the same time, I don't see how, as a feminist, you can tell another woman how she should feel most comfortable. So that's kind of where I have an issue with that. But I think you could argue both sides, and I think that's why it makes for a good conversation. But Jameela Jamil is someone to follow if you're not already. And honestly, like, so are the Kardashians. I think we need to be aware of all the sides here, no?
Mm-hmm.
I love it. We're keeping up. Okay.
With the Kardashians.
That
Exactly.
was a good one.
Let's move on now to more reality television realm stuff. This is a very interesting thing that's happening very of the moment. This happened in just on last week's episode, which will be 2 weeks old by the time this comes out, but you get the point. Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. I don't think, are you guys Beverly Hills watcher? Real Housewives people? You're not really. It's okay if you're not. I'm here to spread the love.
Used to be, not anymore.
Okay, that's fair. This season is excellent. Like, I will say, Beverly Hills might be better than New York this season, which is like crazy for me to even say. It is so good.
OC. The OC is
The OC is trash.
I know. We always have this conversation. I just had to say it. I'm sorry.
No, you're allowed. I just cannot get behind the OC. But Beverly Hills, so good. There's been a lot of drama happening this season, which we could get into, but we're not because we're staying focused on Talkin body. So let me give a little background because this isn't going to make sense without it. I'll start with Lisa Rinna. Lisa Rinna is one of the stars, arguably now the star of The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. She was a soaps actress back in the day. Now she's just an icon in reality television. She has 2 daughters, one of which is Amelia, who has struggled very publicly on the show and just on her own social media with disordered eating. Again, trigger warning if this pertains. It's often been a topic of conversation on the show. Again, very public on her Instagram. She's been celebrated for being so open about it because I think that's very important. I think we would all agree with that. Also important to note in terms of background for Lisa Rinna, that she has been going viral probably within the last year or so. Can you hear my dog?
Yeah. Oh.
She's been so annoying. Oh my God. I'm just gonna,
No, you're fine.
It's fine. It's not
I think in the
noticeable.
recording, you'll be okay.
Far enough.
Yeah.
Okay. Also important to note that Lisa Rinna has been going viral probably within the last couple months, maybe the last year, for videos on Instagram of her dancing. I don't know if you follow, you probably don't if you don't watch the show, but she just, I don't know if she's like a good dancer. She just kind of is unabashed about it, and she dances around, and now it's kind of become a thing where if people send her a press kit of like a new bikini line, she'll like dance in the bikini. Same with like lingerie, she's done that. So also important to note, she's like big boobs, stick skinny, like she is arguably the quote unquote perfect figure, but like again, it's very complicated to say.
Mm-hmm.
All important background to note. This season, there's a new housewife, Garcelle Bouvet, who is she's really a strong addition to this group, and it's been very fun to watch her. And I thought I had no like qualms about her, and I was totally team Garcelle about everything until she made a few comments in recent episodes, and that's what we're going to focus on today. Are we ready? Let me see where I'm at because I want to make sure I get all this. Okay. Recently, Garcelle has called Lisa Rinna out for these dancing videos. She said she talked about this at a dinner with the girls, like all in the group on the show, but then she said in a confessional, which is like the little interviews they do on the side on reality shows, she said, I don't know how to explain what a confessional is, guys. I'm sorry. I'm just like, you know what a confessional is? I'm really sorry. Okay. She said in her confessional, this is Garcelle, I love that Lisa's free enough to do the videos and to be dancing, but the dancing nearly naked is not a choice for me if I had a daughter with body issues. So, like, Garcelle. Then Amelia, again, Rinna's daughter, clapped back almost immediately after that episode aired. I think she tweeted at Garcelle or something, and then Lisa Rinna herself posted a video of Amelia doing a Lisa Rinna kind of dance, like dancing the same way her mom dances, in like a sports bra and like compression shorts, with the tambourine. Like, she really was eating it up. And the caption was, I'd say she's thriving, #mother of the year. Because then it turned into a whole discussion of, like, are you a good mother if you're letting, like, if this is the image you're providing for your daughter who struggled with her weight, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of drama, lots of clapback. Amelia's pissed about it, rightfully so. Like, why are you bringing me up in front of the group in your confessional? What are your thoughts? Who wants to start?
I will, because I feel like I have a lot of thoughts written down.
I can't wait. It's crazy, right? It's crazy.
Yeah. Well, re-going over this, I was just thinking, even just making a comment about a woman wearing too little of clothes is just playing into that patriarchal society kind of mindset. And it's awful because a woman should be able to wear whatever she wants. Whether you think she looks great or not, it doesn't matter because she probably looks bomb. No, she definitely does if she's confident in herself.
Mm-hmm.
But and at the same time, I don't know this woman, but I don't think I'm Team Garcelle from this. But I am someone who has struggled with an eating disorder in the past. So, like, attacking someone for being proud of their body can just be such a downward spiral in someone's confidence, whether it's towards them directly or, like this, an indirect shot at her mom. Because Amelia probably looks up to Lisa in such a way that she's like, you are my rock.
Mm-hmm.
Why would someone come for you? Because then that could be, you don't know what could be someone's trigger. And that could just be so detrimental to someone's health. Mm-hmm. And again, like, you never really know what's going on behind closed doors. But it's a personal fight, and it's not something that someone else should comment on. And it's not someone else's battle to fight. Like, if Amelia's uncomfortable, let her make the comment to her mom privately, not on a platform, and not in a confessional. Like, Garcelle knew exactly what she was doing. She knew she was stirring the pot in a way that was just so, like, pull a Teresa Giudice and flip a table if you're mad. Don't go into a confessional. Like, come on.
No, I'm with you. It's shocking because it's so not Garcelle. Like, Garcelle has been very level-headed of, like, hey, let them do what they want to do. I'm just here watching the drama with you guys. Like, that has been her vibe throughout the season. So this is her first kind of big drama moment where she's at the head of it because she caused it. And it's so much bigger than reality TV. You know what I mean? And that's why we can have a discussion like this about it. So it's very interesting to watch. Like, I don't know. I still love Garcelle. I think I always will. Like, everybody slips up. I also think this could be a great learning moment for a lot of people. Maybe like, oh, didn't think about it that way. Now I know. Mm-hmm. Interesting. Any other thoughts? Go ahead, Fred.
I also just think that. Did you hear that?
Is it a firework?
No, it was a car blasting Spanish music.
Oh, the Bronx.
Exactly. You should just want to uplift someone, and just commenting on Lisa's body, like, clearly there's something there that's not just because of her daughter. Clearly there's some type of drama that we might not know about. Mm-hmm. And just commenting on someone's body, whether or not their daughter or someone close to them has struggled with their body image and just health-wise, it's just not conducive to positive conversations or just within society in general. Like, women should be supporting women, whether you like them or not. Mm-hmm. I know there are plenty of people I don't like, but I'm not going to sit here and bash them, you know? Like, it's your own personal thing. Don't do it, because mental health is such an issue. And if you're going to make a comment on someone's mental illness, that could be a make or break. And I feel like that's not a place to make a comment on.
Well said, Brennan. Well said.
Thank you.
A little sad. And Hannah, Emma, any other lingering thoughts about the Housewives, about Garcelle? Anything you want to add?
I don't like Garcelle, that's for sure. I want to see the confessional, though. I want to see, like, how, like, I want to get the emotion behind it. I just can't believe it. That's what I think. That's what's kind of bothering me. I just, like, someone actually saying this is just.
And she said it very just like, if it were me, I wouldn't do it. Like, if it were me, like, based on, so it, I don't know, it came from a very, like, catty, which, again, is what we want from the Housewives in a normal circumstance. But this, again, is so much bigger than that. But then she went on to call out in the group, like, the following episode, they were at dinner, and then Lisa Rinna, I love her. She always does this thing whenever there's, like, a lull in conversation where she's like, okay, let's just be honest. Like, let's just get it all out there. Does anyone have anything to say? And, like, that's just her preface. So if anyone has any feelings, she wants them to get it out and then like fight about it, which I get, like, don't let it fester. Go Lisa. But she said that, and then Garcelle hits her with a, do you really think you should be dancing like that on Instagram with your daughter and her condition? And she was like, what did you just say? So it was wild to watch that, like, in-person reaction happen. And also cool to see how Lisa Rinna is kind of becoming, she knows more about it than the average person, being so close to it and being educated and being so open about it, that I really do think it became a learning moment for a lot of the women. Also, Teddy Mellencamp, another housewife, not my favorite, like, she's very boring. I'm not into Teddy. She just had a baby. I'm happy for her, but like, next season does not need her. I'm sorry. But she made a great point. She's also a life coach. She is, like, I think a trainer as well. She's very into fitness. She, like, ran the whole time she was pregnant. That seems crazy to me, but I'm happy for her. Anyway, she made a comment that's like, when it comes to eating disorders, it's never just one thing that makes it happen. Like, it's not like Lisa Rinna dancing on Instagram, boom, her daughter has an eating disorder. Like, that's not how it works. So for you to even like stir that up is just like shows how uninformed you are about it. There are so many things playing into it, and one thing isn't gonna play into it that big, you know what I mean? So interesting. That was good commentary from Teddy. So that was her contribution for this season. I'm not a fan. Anyway, interesting. But I thought it was very timely that this episode came up as we were doing this episode, because it really just fit right in. Oh, guys, I'm just glad we're doing this. This is, like, nice to talk about. Okay. That's really all I have in terms of big headings to talk about. Do you guys, let's just go through some main takeaways from today's episode. What are you leaving with? I'll wrap up with going back to that article, but before we start, I'm going to throw it to Hannah. Hot seat. What's your takeaway?
Basically, like, you're not alone. Like, if you feel comfortable about it, like, talk to your loved ones, like your friends, like, they could be your support system. And like, you gals hype me up, and like, I hopefully do it as equally as you guys do it for me. So like, if you know, they love you and they'll be there for you, and it's a very personal thing. So, you know, just love yourself, and like, that should be enough. And like, do anything for yourself first before other people. It should not be about other people, just making you happy. And yeah, lift each other up. We need to stick together, girls.
Yes, we are sisters. Right. I love it, Hannah. Thank you, Hannah. Emma, how about you?
I think especially with quarantine and COVID, etc., it's like, this is a time that no one has really ever experienced in a very, very, very long time. So it's like, embrace the change. And to Hannah's point, it's like, you're not alone, and please seek out the resources. Don't be afraid to. And that being said, is kind of being like informed, etc. And I think Brennan's going to talk about this maybe in a little bit, but it's just like kind of like staying informed, and just realize that it's okay to speak up for yourself. And yeah, and that times are changing, and just embrace the change.
Totally. Great points. Bren?
I agree. I also feel like, going off of both of you guys, surround yourself with people, especially women, that uplift you, because if you don't, that can be so problematic, and then it could be a cause of issues like these, you know what I mean? But also, sorry, being insecure in your body is completely normal, and everyone has their own battles, and it doesn't have to have a label on it. If you're having an issue or struggling with something, tell someone or seek out some help, because you don't know what could possibly come from it, and you don't want this horrible situation in your hands. But that's also why these kind of conversations need to be normalized, and these types of issues need to be talked about, because there is so many, especially women, and I know men struggle with it too, but I feel like I was saying last episode, it's put more so on women's shoulders because of the society we live in, of having this ideal kind of like beauty, and what, like, it's all BS, and like, it's all just made up for TV shows and movies. It's not real. And it's kind of like high school, where I was watching 10 Things I Hate About You last night, and the stereotype groups, like, that's not a thing. It's all fake. And I feel like once people realize that, it's so helpful, you know?
Liberating, yeah.
Yeah, but you just got to remember that just because you're uncomfortable in yourself doesn't mean that you're not worth anything. You gotta, and this is kind of hypocritical of me to say, and I'm working past it, but have a healthy relationship with food. Like, you gotta eat.
Mm-hmm.
And whether it's like you were saying, Rach, cheese affects how your skin might be.
Mm-hmm.
I know dairy makes my stomach want to die. Maybe avoid those things, because then you can live a healthier lifestyle, you know what I mean?
And feel better, right?
Yeah, but that doesn't mean like you gotta starve yourself. And every body is beautiful, but you just have to remind yourself that women in the spotlight are going to have these idolized bodies because they have these platforms. So you just kind of have to remember that there's endless forms of beauty, and you're your own beautiful, and to be kind to yourself, or you're never going to be happy.
Totally.
Gotta get emotional.
No,
Gosh,
that was so well said.
that was beautiful.
I feel like we need to transcript that and like
Put it on a wall.
Gosh,
Sell it at,
I'll be
Brennan.
like mom's house.
Yeah.
like in my life coach. Jeez.
replay that part whenever you need a little boost.
Oh my gosh.
Seriously. On a loop forever.
Hit me.
Yeah.
Friend we love. Okay. To wrap up, I want to return to Madison Schell, who again wrote that article in the beginning. She ended her article with a beautiful quote, and I think it wraps up what we want to say perfectly. She wrote, "To each of you reading this," I'll add to everyone listening to this, "from my community to yours, we're celebrating you and wishing you ever-increasing resilience and kindness to yourself during these times. Here's hoping we get to know our bodies better and begin loving every cell. If there's anything I can say for sure, it's that we're all worthy of this."
That's really nice.
Again, emotional.
I know. But what a good place to wrap up. I think we're all feeling inspired and empowered and loving each other more than we did when we started this episode. Beautiful. Brennan, thank you so much for joining for this two-parter. This has been so just nice, and we're going to have you back.
Yeah, I had fun. These are fun.
Natural.
Right?
Fun podcasts are.
Join the club, sister. Like, you're one of us now.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
You're so cute. All right, if you guys like what you're hearing, make sure to follow us on Spotify or subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. Also, feel free to rate and review. That'd be great. You can also find us on Instagram at h.e.r.LIFE. We've really been hitting it with these IGTVs lately, and repost them. That's all I can say. We really want those views. Okay, you can find our blog posts at h.e.r.LIFE.online. You can find behind-the-scenes videos of recordings like this one on YouTube. Just search Rachel Malak and you'll find my channel. I don't have like an easy link. I don't know how to get one of those. It's like a lot of letters. I'm going to work on that for next time, maybe. As always,
Zoom in.
Sorry, I live on a main road.
I thought it was a vacuum cleaner. Like, calm down. We're in the middle of it.
Sorry.
As always, thank you so much for listening. Hannah, say your name. Emma, say your name, and then I'll say my name.
I'm Hannah Logerfo.
I'm Emma Spoldi.
And I'm Rachel Malak. Thank you for listening. This has been the h.e.r.LIFE BLOGCAST.